Welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. So, a little bit of a news update from yesterday that I didn't get to cover yet. DC Fandome, which was scheduled to happen on Saturday, is still happening. But they appear to be splitting up how they're handling it, and which should have been the case in the beginning. I'm going to say that right out of the gate. They should have done two separate events. One for the comics and the TV and all that stuff, and one for the movies, and like the Flash is lumped in with the movies, as is Titans. Those are the two biggest shows they have outside of outside of the movies. So those are lumped in with the movie. For the rest of it is just movies, mostly tomorrow or on Saturday. And I think that should have been done from the beginning. Unlike Marvel, who they have comics and they have movies and TV. They've announced everything already now. They have their slate announced and released. Marvel can't really do an event like this because they don't really need to do that. Who could do an event like this is Star Wars, to kind of show this is where we're going with this. Because I think that's one of the things they've kind of been mishandling, is kind of explaining where are we going from here. The Skywalker saga has ended, where are we going from here? DC has a lot to show off. DC has 3 movies next year. 4 movies in the next few years. They have a bunch. They have the Snyder Cut as a miniseries or a movie. That's coming next year. They have the Suicide Squad, which is done. That's coming next year. The Batman, which is almost done. They have 3 more months of shooting, and that's coming out next October. They have Wonder Woman 1984, which is coming at the end of this year, allegedly, assuming they can get the theaters reopened in time. That's coming. Black Adam is entering production early next year. Shazam 2 is going to be entering production at some point in the near future. There's a mystery movie. Ava DuVernay is still attached to The New Gods. And who knows what else they have going on. There could be another Superman movie. There could be anything else happening. But that's all still on the table and ready to go. Not ready to go, but you get what I'm saying. So they have a lot to show off that hasn't really been shown off yet. On the other hand, for comics, it appears as if they're headed toward a relaunch, but we're not 100% sure. They may be relaunching the entire comics line as the Batman cinematic, like a Batman comic universe, and like forsake everything else. We don't know. But this is a smart idea because they have so much going on, especially in the TVs. They have the games. They have because we have Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League coming. There's a new Batman game coming from WB Montreal. They have all the CW shows, The Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Green Arrow and the Canaries is still somewhat there. It's not done yet, but it hasn't been picked up yet, but it still could be. Stargirl. Swamp Thing's airing in the fall, and that might get another season if they can. I don't think it's going to. I've seen inklings saying, if enough people watch it, they'll do it. I don't think on a CW budget they're going to go through all the lengths that they did for the show for season 1 of Swamp Thing. They have Doom Patrol getting a season 3 and a season 4 shooting back to back, apparently. They have Titans getting a season 3, but that's on day 1. They have The Flash, which is over here. They have, and The Flash is the number 1 show on the CW. And that's going to be like, what they used to say about Sam and Dean and, the cast of Supernatural. So as long as they want to do that show, we're going to let them do that show. Superman and Lois is premiering. Batwoman has a new lead actress playing Batwoman. And there's a lot going on. And there's a lot for them to talk about. So it makes sense to split it up into 2 days. So that's a lot to program against itself for a 12-hour period. And people have to choose what they want to see. If you do it over 2 days, you can split it up more and you can see who's doing what. And it makes more sense. I think that the competition on the other side of the street, Marvel can't really do that because, they've shown off their release schedule. They know what they're doing for the next few years. And I know DC isn't really doing that right now, but they don't have any TV really happening either. It's okay, we have 2 shows that have wrapped filming. We can probably cut together a trailer of Loki at some point. But, one of the shows isn't done filming, I'm sorry. It's mostly done filming. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think WandaVision is done filming. We have a few movies. We can put out another trailer for Wonder Woman. Or for Black Widow. We can put out a trailer for the Eternals. Coming in February. But really that doesn't really help too much. That doesn't really show off what we're going to do in a meaningful way. And I think that, like, they can go into comics and they can talk about what their next event's going to be, but they're in the middle of Empire right now. They don't want to take away from Empire. And I think that there's a lot that really keeps them from doing it. I think the only other company who could really benefit from doing something like this is Lucasfilm. Because what we have right now is Lucasfilm has, what's it called? They have the New Republic, the High Republic, is starting come January. The first High Republic book comes out in January. Then there's a second one shortly after. We have a Mandalorian book coming out next year. We have a Thrawn book coming out in a little under 2 weeks. Thrawn Ascendancy, which I'm very much looking forward to. And then, like, the Mandalorian Season 2, we have a bunch of TV shows that are rumored to be in development. And it's a lot of, we don't know really what's going on. And that's kind of weird, is that we don't know where we're going with any of this. And that's a big deal. How do we make people should know what we should be expecting, and it's like, or at least, like, okay, so we know Taika Waititi is doing the next Star Wars movie, but, like, when's it set? Is it set during the High Republic era? Is it set during the time between the prequels and the original trilogy? Is it set between the original trilogy and the sequels? Is it set after the sequel trilogy? I've heard rumors that the High Republic, which is probably the best thing to do, is to kind of do this cohesive new thing with Project Luminous, but they haven't really been kind of forthcoming about that. And that's not me saying, like, an entitled fan, like, they need to tell me what's happening right now. That's kind of like, what's the overall company goal? What is your goal in storytelling right now? It seems like DC's the only one who's like, here's what we're going to do. You want to see this? Here's what you want to see. And, we got a little something for everyone, except for the Snyder fans, who we're going to sit here and, we're going to give them this, and then they're going to bitch endlessly about not giving them part 2, and then it's going to be, well, we're going to give them part 2 eventually, or it's going to be animated. So, and that's the thing I saw someone say online. It's like, well, it's a good thing they're putting in all this dark side setup in the Snyder Cut, because that's not happening in this movie. That's not happening until the sequel, which is not going to be made. And it's like, people are like, oh, well, you said that about the Snyder Cut too. And it's like, there's a vast difference between doing post-production on a movie that's already been shot for $20 million and paying another $250 million to reshoot an entire movie with people who have greater star power now than they did when they originally signed the contracts. Because, like, Henry Cavill, I'm assuming they got for a steal. But Henry Cavill can be like, fuck you, pay me. Gal Gadot, same thing. Ezra Miller, for his faults, same thing. Jason Momoa, same thing. These are all people with international star power now. It's like, hey, you want me to star in this movie? Fuck you, pay me. So I think that's going to be the big issue, is people don't quite realize there's a difference between this movie's already been shot and this movie hasn't been shot yet. This movie's going to inevitably end on a cliffhanger that you're not going to be satisfied with. And it's to be like, well, will I make the next one? It's like, yeah, are they going to invest $250 million, $250 million to do a war with Apocalypse as an Elseworld? So, I don't know. I feel like other companies should see how Fandome kind of works out and then plan their own things accordingly. I'm saying maybe a virtual D23. I'm saying maybe a virtual, like, Star Wars Celebration, which I think Star Wars Celebration is really the only thing that can really rival this in terms of size and scope and what they can cover, because there's comics, there's books, there's movies, there's TV, and there's a lot they can really talk about. And if Fandome's a big success, then that's definitely something worth looking into for them. So we'll wrap up there for today. So Fandome Day 1 is on Saturday of this week, the 22nd. Fandome Day 2, I think, is September 12th, which is in, September. So that will be the other big day that we need to look out for. So definitely be aware of that as we get closer to these things happening. And as always, if there is any news coming out of Fandome, we will have an episode coming out. I have a spot cleared out for that. So we'll be discussing that later this week. So until then, have a great rest of your week, and we'll be back with any news as it arrives.